Welcome to a new video and a new problem. I know I haven't been there for a long time, and the reason is that I'm currently busy with PDR training, so you can watch it on this channel as well. This is only one part of the tool that is needed for work, but about that another time. Today we have a standard problem where one side of the car is completely scratched by the key, as well as someone trying to repair a part of the car. The paint and coating were broken. It went deep. Here someone tried to fix something and only made it more complicated, and we will deal with that first, and later these scratches along the entire length of the side. You can see how messy it looks. Too thick. And in the end, there is no shine at all, and my opinion and experience tells me that there is nothing to fix under this repair. These lines could be filled so that, in the end, very little is noticed, but this double line on the fender will be very difficult to do, and I don't think we will be able to solve it ideally. First, we will remove all the filling using 1500 sandpaper, paying attention to the edges of the edge so as not to cause more damage. You know that I'm not a fan of sanding with water, that I always use dry sanding, but for these damages caused by the wrench, it turned out to be the best solution for straightening the filled part. We sand slowly, carefully, without putting pressure on the paper. We simply slide the paper over the filled part and constantly wipe to see what happens and when we should stop. After we have removed most of the filling part, we switch to paper 2000, with which we will remove the traces from sanding the previous paper and prepare the surface for polishing. As I assumed, this filling was unnecessary because there is no damage and there is no need for it. There are still remnants of paint that need to be removed. Now the part of us looks like this and is ready for polishing. I always use a roto machine and wool after sanding, and the result is amazing. When I'm done with the roto machine and the wool, I switch to the dual machine and the Sunzer, and with that combination, I remove the holograms left by the roto machine. Here, too, pay attention to the pressure you apply to the machine, because there are very sharp and jagged edges on this part, and you may peel the paint from them, and then you have to paint that part completely. This is our end result. And remember what it looked like at the beginning, so we are very satisfied with the first part of the work. And now, we are moving on to the more difficult part of the work. Here you can see that this is not an ordinary color, but a color in which there are various beads and which changes the shade of color from various angles. Here we mix together, I repeat together, the base and the coating and the hardener. The ratio of coating and hardener depends on the manufacturer, and on each package it is written what the ratio is. In this case, the ratio was 1:1. We also use a thin needle that is no thicker than the damage so that the color does not spread around the damage, but all the color remains where it should be, which is in the damage itself with very little waste around it. And let's start with filling. You know that when it comes to filling, We always look to fill the damage from the first time so that we don't have to repeat it, because then you won't be able to get a good result. Devote yourself to that first filling. Work without hurry and pressure. Simply let the color, it fills the channel itself, and you continue like this until the end, until everything is filled. It is also important to leave enough time for it to dry. In this case, we use a quick hardener that is dry after 1 hour and ready for sanding and polishing. If it remains insufficiently dry, you will not be able to do your job, and all the paint will come off when you sand. Here we are fixing the complicated part because the two scratches are too close, and there is a possibility that the paint will combine and the coating will be too thick in that place. But it is up to us to try to save as much as possible from painting and save the original paint as well as the money. This is what it looked like after we filled it and left it to dry. We always leave more time for drying than planned. If you can leave it free for 1 day, and then you are sure that it is 100% dry. We left it for 4 hours and now we are ready for sanding and removal of excess paint. Before sanding, check that the paint has not fallen out from the damage, and if it has, refill that part and wait for it to dry. Again, we use 1,500 and 2,000 grain water-based papers, and we use a paper pad for even sanding so that it does not remain somewhere more and somewhere less sanded, and then it happens to you when you finish everything and polish that you have a wrong line. And it is not a wrong line, but you are in some place removed more of the paint coating after the scratch, and less of it. And you get the effect of a crooked line when viewed from an angle. This is how it should look when you have sanded and removed the excess paint and leveled the damage with the factory thickness of the coating in case. If you see this after sanding, sand a little more until these marks disappear, which are the excess paint from filling. You can see from this that you have done the job. That is, that you have filled the damage by about 90%, and that it is better than having to paint the entire element and spoiling the factory coating. Now we will polish this part and you will see the result. When I do this, I always grind and polish one part at a time and devote myself as much as possible to get the best possible result. We will look at the car as it looks outside, and I will explain to you where and when the damage can be seen. You can never repair the damage to be 100%. It will always be noticed a little. Here, I can hide the damage by not showing you where it was, but that is not my goal. The damage will be noticeable under the LED lights from a distance of about 10 centimeters, but when you move away to a standard distance from the car, it will not be there. Let's see how the car looks on sunlight from a normal distance and when we approach it. This is how it looks when the car is viewed under standard light, i.e. outside. Now, it is much less noticeable than under LED lights, and here you have to take into account that these parts where the damage was now polished and are different from the rest of the car, which will equalize after several washes, and that scratch will simply disappear. As I said, we did the fender, but it is noticeable and needs to be painted, but we managed to save the rest of the car. I hope I made you happy with this video. It's up to you to comment, like, share the video, and we'll see you again soon with some new videos. A big greeting to all loyal followers.